Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL, the best bets for the Super Bowl. You've been waiting all season for this one, and that's it. This is the last of the 2024-2025 NFL season. Don't worry, more NFL football coming at you in 2025 here on Betting Pros. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast wherever you get your pods, and of course, ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications. And in the meantime, the boys and I, Terrell Furman Jr., the Undertaker himself, Andrew Erickson, are going to talk about the best bets for the big game. And of course, we'll be live before the game too, earlier on Sunday. We got another live stream going on today. Erickson and I are going to hammer out there. Look, the best way to do all this betting is with the Betting Pros app. So if you haven't already, download that bad boy, sync your sports books for free, start betting smarter, not harder. Use the tools because you can basically bet on anything. And I mean anything. Yesterday, Matt Peralta and I did a live stream, and Terrell, he brought up a good point. Why don't we bet on, I understand why you can bet on everything in the Super Bowl because there's 2 weeks for the books to prepare, and there's nothing else for anybody to do, and there's so much attention on it. But the coin toss is the coin toss. Why can't we bet on the coin toss of every game? I never thought of it, right?
I mean, you can.
I mean, if you want
listen,
it's
my
like,
cousin...
It's like
My cousin
no, but it's
and
people
I...
that bet odd even. Like, why do people bet odd even on the score? Like, that's literally, like, is it going to be odd or, like, that's available every single game.
True.
Why can't you do the coin toss if you can bet that? That's
I don't know.
It's 50-50.
It's something I never thought
people that are
about.
trying to tell you it's not 50-50.
When you bet it on a book.
They literally trying to tell you it's not 50-50, and it's literally 50-50.
Well, they'll tell you, I believe I saw today, 52% of the coin flips have been tails.
Yeah, because tails never fails.
There you go. With that logic, how could we possibly lose any money on the Super Bowl?
That's the side I'm on tails.
Hey, you know what that 52% means? It just means heads is due. Heads is due.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, but tails never fails. The public is right.
All right, let's get to the bets that matter here, not the coin toss here. Let's talk about...
That's my first best bet.
Well, all right.
You took tails? Oh, I took heads.
Look for a second one. All right, look, here we go. Kansas City, Philadelphia. The Chiefs 15-2. The Philadelphia Eagles 14-3. Right now, the best number you can find on bettingpros.com on the Eagles plus 1.5 at minus 115 on FanDuel. Kansas City Chiefs minus 105 at Caesars. The total is going right now 48.5, 49. That's kind of the range you're getting. Chiefs on the money line minus 114 as of right now on recording this on Wednesday afternoon, and plus 102 over on the money line for the Eagles. So, Terrell Furman Jr., where shall we begin our odyssey of Super Bowl betting?
Oh, come on, man. It's the biggest bet of the weekend. It's been the biggest bet in the playoffs this entire run. And luckily for me, in the Texas game, I got 8.5. So I still hit it. We take Patrick Mahomes. This is the playoffs. We are not going to change anything up here. This is a close game with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And I actually do really, really think that they have the better team and they can get this done. I think that the defense is still really live. And I think it's going to be one in the trenches of who can get pressure on the other quarterback, who can make the defensive line and really, really hold stout in the run game. Saquon Barkley is going to be a force, and you can only hope to contain him as best as you can. But when Jalen Hurts gets into those passing downs and those passing situations and you're able to create those opportunities, you got to take advantage of it, because as of late, he has not looked as proficient as a passer as we've seen when he was in the Super Bowl the last time around. So very easy for me taking the Kansas City Chiefs here. It's rinse and repeat. Is nothing to doubt here. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they get another one.
I share your confidence. It's funny. The one thing that I think a lot of people don't share with you is the the notion that the talent roster on the Eagles isn't the better talent roster. I understand the argument for that. A little younger, on especially the defensive side there.
Yeah.
They have the explosive playmaker of Saquon Barkley in his prime. I don't think that's something the other side has, but they do have Patrick Mahomes, and he's pretty good at playing quarterback. Luckily, I already made my Super Bowl bet back in August. I took the Chiefs at 7-1 to win the Super Bowl, so I'm just going to sit on that for now. And maybe, especially if they are down by 3 or dare I say 6 at halftime, I'd probably go back to that well once again, because I'm sure I'm going to get a nice nifty number there. Andrew Erickson, where shall we begin your wagering journey for Super Bowl this weekend?
I am going to bet on Patrick Mahomes, because the easiest way to ruin your Sunday is to bet against Sir Patrick Mahomes. I was with you, Joe, in the offseason. Invest in your 401k, bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Those are the off-season to-do list, and that's what we did. And I mentioned this on a show, I think, last week, where I had Eagles to win the NFC and I had Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I didn't do that by accident. I knew when push came to shove, if these teams were to meet, I know what side I was going to be on. That was before we even saw the season play out. So I think that the trends obviously back up Kansas City in terms of they've won 18 of the last games as favorites. Mahomes, 17-3 in the postseason. He's only lost against Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. They've won 9 straight postseason games. Mahomes is 8-0 against Vic Fangio-led defenses. So I get the Eagles are the superior team, but I feel like I was talking about this last time they played in the Super Bowl. I was like, oh, well, the Eagles have the better team overall, but the other team has Mahomes. And as I've consumed more media this week, I'm starting to, oh no, well, what if I'm wrong? What if we get a Tampa Bay Buccaneers Chiefs situation where, the Eagles defensive line is really good and they overwhelm the Chiefs offensive line. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. I just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes, and he is really the reason why. That's where I'm going to settle, and I don't really see a reason to get away from it.
And again,
go ahead.
For the people back there that are like, oh, the refs are in the pocket of the Kansas City Chiefs, they're trying to force this Mahomes agenda and all of that. Again, if the refs are on a side, just bet that side.
Yeah, that's certainly good logic. Hot take here, the offensive line of the Chiefs will give up sacks. And Patrick Mahomes will get hit, and Jalen Carter is going to be up his rear end. It's going to happen. And they're still, I think, going to find a way, because that's what the Chiefs do. They just find a way. I go back to that stat that I don't know if I talked about this with Terrell. I know Andrew and I talked about it, where all the rematches that you've had in the Super Bowl, they've all gone to the first winner the second time. And I think that's a very interesting statistic, because I think sometimes when you lose to somebody, that losing kind of gets programmed into your brain. And I understand that this is a little bit bitter.
Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Look, we go back, it was Chuck Nolan, Landry, it was Marv Levy and Jimmy Johnson. It was, ironically, the other one.
Eli could never get over the hump and beat Peyton.
Well, look, and ironically, Tom Coughlin, twice with Bill Belichick, right, too. And that's one that would probably surprise a lot of people. That was the other one on the list. And, of course, Andy Reid and Shanahan from the last couple of years. So I think there's something about just the DNA of winning. And when a team has it, especially over you, it's really hard to shake it. And I continue to be with you guys. But it's not just money lines here. We've got some other stuff going on. So let's talk about some more bets that you like. Let's go to you, T. Give me bet number 2 for the Super Bowl. What do you have?
It's been as automatic. And honestly, there's still minus 110 odds is mispricing Jalen Hurts touchdown. I think that is a complete misprice of how, there's so many situations that Jalen Hurts can get a touchdown in this game. And the main one is talked about all week. All through the pressers, they've been talking about, hey, do you like the tush push? And he was like, well, I don't call it the tush push, but it's a good play. I call it a quarterback sneak. They've been talking about it all week because everybody knows it's coming. It's one of the more unstoppable plays in sports, because you sit there and you don't practice it. They don't practice it. Nobody really practices it. And there's no way that you stop it. And you saw Frankie Louvu over there with 1 million penalties trying to find a way to stop it. Yeah, it was amazing. And I don't know why. I wish they would have just gifted the score, because I would have loved to see how did that play out. Who got the score? Was it going to just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to give it to Jalen Hurts? Because
did you know that was a rule? Be honest, because I didn't.
No.
My whole life I've watched football, I never heard of that rule.
And I would love if anybody would love to offer me a line on if that rule will come into play in this game, because that could only be the refs are in the pockets of the Chiefs. They're going to find a way to give the Chiefs a touchdown. So I don't know what that rule was, but it's because the unstoppable play that is tush push.
Yeah, it is.
Jalen Hurts is 100%. Jalen Hurts is 100% getting in. This is the reason why Saquon Barkley wasn't MVP, because he vultured a bunch of those touchdowns. This is happening.
Yeah. Oh, look, if the Eagles win, it's a Barkley MVP. So you're better off just betting Barkley MVP than the Eagles on the money line, because you're getting a better number at that. Same thing with Mahomes too, by the way. If you think that, okay, it's a lock, whatever, you're getting plus money on Mahomes for MVP. Who's the MVP of that game if it's not Mahomes on the Chiefs side? I just have a hard time buying anybody but Patrick Mahomes on that one. I know you're getting cute here a little bit, but are you really at the end of the day? I don't think so. But on the other side, if you are in on the Eagles and you're looking for a better number, instead of just, if you got one bet to make, I would just be betting Saquon for MVP, because I think it has to be a transcendent Saquon game for it to be an Eagles victory, in which case they will build a statue of him next to Rocky and people will run up there and take their picture, and there will be people in South Philadelphia naming their kids Saquon or renaming.
Aren't they going to name? Aren't they going to put
them.
the statue next to the Nick Foles? Is there a Nick Foles statue?
Nick Foles is not nearly as beloved. I'm telling you right now. Like,
I mean, he's
Nick
the one
Foles,
so far he's got the ring.
I don't know.
He doesn't.
Yeah, I
No.
don't know.
Trust
I
me,
don't
dude.
know.
Look, I live close to the area. I've lived in Philadelphia for 6 years of my life. Went to college there. I love Philadelphia. They have a weird thing with Foles. Like, Foles was like a magical, fun story or whatever. They love Saquon Barkley. And you know why they love it? Because they took him from the Giants and now they're sticking it to the Giants on top of it. And there's nothing the Go Birds crowd likes more than to stick it to the Giants as they're winning. Like, that is double your money right there. All right, speaking of twos, Erickson, give me bet number 2 for the Super Bowl.
I'm taking the under at 49 points. That's the best line that I could find. It has been bet down since it opened at 49.5. Most of the books have 48.5. I did find, I think it was on Caesars, it's still at 49. And I think that this is another trend that I'm looking at. You look at, again, mentioned the Fangio matchups with KC and Patrick Mahomes, 8 matchups over the last 5 seasons, 2-6 towards the over in those games. So those games have been generally more low scoring. And looking at the Eagles, 9 of the Eagles' last 13 road games have gone under the total. 8 of the Eagles' last 12 games have gone under the total. The Eagles are 16-21 towards the over since the start of last year, 7-12 towards the over on the road. The Eagles have allowed just 23 points 3 times this season. The Chiefs have allowed more than 27 points 4 times since the start of 2023, and twice it was against Buffalo. So again, how is this game going to get to 50 points if neither of these teams give up 27 or 23? Again, had to double check my math, but that's 50 points combined. So if they're both giving up less than they usually do in terms of 23 points, 27 points, to me, this looks more like a game that's going to be in the low to mid 20s from each side and not, hey, low 30s, high 20s from each side. So that's what I like. I like the under. Again, I am the Undertaker, so maybe this is very status quo for me. But even in games where the Eagles have the lines closed high at 49 points, so they've had 4 games where the line is closed near 49 points or higher. Eagles are 1-3 towards the over. And the Chiefs have only been in 2 games that have even closed at a 48-point total or higher. So they're 1-1 in those games. So we don't really see these two teams playing high-scoring environments for the most part. Again, it's been a little bit different in the playoffs, but I think that this game's going to disappoint a little bit in terms of total points. So I like the under at 49 points.
All right, let's move on to the next bet. Before we do, just a reminder too, the Betting Pros podcast survey is available and you can help shape the future of the Betting Pros podcast. Take your quick, easy survey over at bettingpros.com/survey and share your feedback to help us improve. And of course, I assume you only say more wrestling content with Terrell and Joe. That's what I'd be pushing for if I was allowed to take the survey, but I can't. However, we will be back for Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania as well. We got it all on lockdown, but whatever it is that you like, or maybe you don't like, share your thoughts, bettingpros.com/survey. All it takes is just a minute or maybe 2 at the most. And it's at bettingpros.com/survey today. Make your voice heard, shape the future of the show. Next up here is Terrell again, number 3 on the Super Bowl best bets list. What is it?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes over 5.5 rushing attempts. This is probably going to be up there in one of the bigger plays that I have over the course of the weekend. And because there's so many ways that we can get there. I mean, we can get there just on sheer volume because this Eagles defensive line, really, really good. Patrick Mahomes going to be flushed out of pocket, going to make something happen with his legs, and he's not afraid to take off with it. That's actually one of the qualities that makes him so good is because he knows when to run, when to throw, and when to go get positive yards. And so that happens. And then, of course, I mean, Joe, the kneel downs at the end. Always going to help us out. Kneel downs at the end, always going to help us out there. So definitely love the over. I think the 5.5 is a little juiced, -125, but I'm still laying it. I like this one.
I'll tell you what, I love this bet, and for 2 other reasons that you actually didn't really touch on. Number 1, Jalen Carter putting pressure up the middle right there, like that, flushing him from the pocket. And number 2, you've also got these really good young corners, right? So if you're locking down mid wide receivers, and I think I'm being kind when I say mid wide receivers right now, because that's kind of where the Chiefs are at. If you don't have a lot of quick options where guys can't get open and create space, and you got pressure up the middle coming at you, Mahomes is going to get flushed from that pocket. He's going to have to take off and run and take the ball in his hands. And you saw he is never against doing that. He's got, almost 200 rushing yards in his Super Bowl appearances already. So, I mean, I am all in on this one. I like the yardage more than the attempts, but that's me. I'm a yardage guy.
No, he'll back up. What was it the last time against the first time against the 49ers? He'll back that thing up 10, 12 yards and no, let me just get that.
That's fair. That's fair.
I know I'm good.
That's fair. I don't think there's time to back up when Jalen Carter's coming at you. Erickson, number 3 here in the best bets for the Super Bowl.
Well, if they're kneeling, then yes, because Jalen Carter won't be able to get to him. So I like the attempts too. So I agree. I'm fading the yards, taking the attempts with Terrell.
All right.
So okay. we'll handhold there. But my third bet here is and this goes against the game total under. So don't parlay these together or whatever in your SGPs. First quarter over 9.5 points. Or do if you want to get wacky.
Yeah.
First quarter over 9.5 points minus 110. So you look at the Chiefs. This is their 5th Super Bowl. All but one of their Super Bowls that they've played with Mahomes saw at least 10 points scored in the first quarter. The Eagles, after starting out the season very slow in the first half and first quarter of games, has been on a hot streak. They've hit the first quarter over, going over 10 points or more, 6 straight games, excluding Week 18 when they were playing their backups. KC, first quarter, last 4 games, 3-1 towards the over at 10 points. And the only time it went under, they scored 9 points. So they have averaged 7.5 points in the first quarter against Vic Fangio defenses. That's the last 8 matchups. So, yes, I like the game total to go under, but I don't think that these teams come out sluggish. I know sometimes we see that. I know traditionally in all the Patriots, it seemed like every single Patriots Super Bowl, they never scored at all in the first quarter. And that kind of, teams just, I think that embedded in our brains that, teams just start out slow in the Super Bowl. It's like, no, like that was the Patriots. Like they started out slow. I don't think the Chiefs and Eagles will be that. They know what the other offenses can do on the opposing sides of the ball. I think they come out aggressive, and I think that we get to 10 points in the first quarter. So I'm going to take the over.
Number 4 on the list for best bets for the Super Bowl, Terrell Furman Jr. What do you have at number 4?
All right. I am going a little off the beaten path here. Super Bowl, get some rather exotic bets here. Will the opening kickoff be a touchback? I'm taking no at plus 205 because I think this is mispriced. In years past, this has been closer to even money than has ever been to 2-1 for the no. But this is also a brand new kickoff. And they've been incentivizing teams at different points. You've seen teams, hey, we're taking this out of the end zone. It doesn't matter. We feel like we can get the yardage or make a play, anything like that. You look at the Eagles side of the ball in particular. They've only had one touchback in the first attempt by either team in the entire playoffs. And that was Jake Elliott kicking a touchback against the Commanders. And then every single other time the Eagles have brought it out or Jake Elliott has put the ball in a position where the other team has to bring it out. Other than that, go to the Chiefs side of the ball. Harrison Buckner has kicked some touchbacks in the playoffs, but the Chiefs have been also willing to take the ball out of the end zone. Like there's been multiple teams that said, hey, we're going to either try to go hit the ball and pin them deep, or we're going to try to go and make a play. And so I'm kind of sold here on the touchback. I think it's just a misprice. I'm not probably going as heavy on this as I am Chiefs money line, but I think it's a fun little play. And it also gets the blood flowing. Like right after our heads and tails match up, Erickson,
down, baby.
I then get to sweat out the first kickoff being a touchback. Like, come on, it's the Super Bowl. You're supposed to have fun. Betting is supposed to be fun. So yeah, I'm gonna sweat heads and tails with Erickson now. I didn't have a bet on it, but now that Erickson said tails, I'm gonna go heads, and then I'm gonna go and immediately sweat the opening touchback. And I don't think it's going to be a touchback. I think that it's going to be kicked short, probably something along the goal line, and the team is just going to bring it out.
You mentioned Elliott. How much does kicking enter into your sphere of this game, too, between Butker and Elliott, who's, certainly missed some moments there. And Butker, for the most part, I know he was hurt this year, so coming back from an injury was a little trickier, but Butker's been so good in these clutch spots and has such a long resume of it. Does the kicking in this game enter into your mindset? As well as like the Chiefs so much?
Yeah, I think it really does. I think Jake Elliott hasn't been as good. Like there was a point in time where Jake Elliott, Justin Tucker, you were thinking those two guys are like, oh yeah, those are two of the best kickers in the league. They're pretty automatic, get it done. It just doesn't feel like either one of those guys have been like that. Sorry, Ravens fan, to give Justin Tucker a shout out in this episode, but I'm I think that kicking plays a part in all aspects, especially in the touchback prop. Because I remember it was a point in time a few years ago where Pat McAfee, when his show was just getting off the ground and he was gaining some traction, and he was talking about the Super Bowl, and he said, "Man, they bring in a new football, like a brand new football, right out the packaging and all of that." He's like, "The thing's tough to kick, like very on. Like you don't get to break that one in. All the ones you're practicing with, those are the practice
Yeah,
balls.
because I
But
got
that
all the
first
special
one."
stuff on it, all the
Yeah, they
emblems and
said
things.
that
Yeah.
first one, you kick it, and then somebody goes and gets that football and takes it to the Hall of Fame. And he's like, it's kind of hard to kick that one out the end zone. And then after that, like the next 3 years, there's a touchback in the opening kickoff after that. But I think there's something to that as well. So I think it's kind of that aspect to it. And then the fact that we'll see if they trust Jake Elliott. I got one more play, and I will touch on that a little bit more at the end.
All right. Next up here, Andrew Erickson, give us another best bet for the Super Bowl.
Again, following Terrell's lead here with more exotic plays, Marquis Brown is going to catch a pass on the first Kansas City Chiefs drive. Plus 180 you can get over on DraftKings. Basically, so Marquis Brown basically missed the entire season for the Chiefs. He ended up playing the last 4 games, so last couple games of the playoffs and last couple games of the regular season. And as I've been kind of charting his usage throughout these games, there's a very clear effort to get him the ball, especially early on. AFC Championship game. He caught 2 passes on the first 2 pass attempts from Patrick Mahomes. Out of halftime in that game, he received the first target from Patrick Mahomes. That was the same thing in the divisional round, targeted on the opening drive. So he's actually had a target on the Chiefs' opening drive in 3 of his 4 games played this season. And to kind of tie it all together, Mahomes has had his highest EPAs per dropback in the last month. What's been the main difference? Obviously, he's been playing better, but Marquise Brown just being active in this lineup has helped the Chiefs offense, I think, significantly. It's changed a little bit of the way that defenses play them. I think, I don't know, this isn't a hot take saying that he's an upgrade over Justin Watson. Like running these routes. I think that he, is, hey, we got to make sure we pay attention to Marquise Brown as opposed to like, oh, we forgot about Justin Watson again when he randomly scores a touchdown. And so even though it hasn't shown up in the box score every single week for Hollywood Brown, I think that they're going to continue to get him more involved again because he missed so much time. I think he's probably benefited a lot from another 2 weeks of getting that full install from the offense where he's not dealing with an injury. So again, I think Marquise Brown is kind of an X factor potentially for the Chiefs side of things here, where he was not really considered at all. We didn't really know what was going to happen to him, and he's making an impact during the postseason. You haven't seen it in his box score quite yet, but I think they're going to get him going from the get-go. So yeah, he always do is catch a pass on the first drive, plus 180, almost 2-1 odds. So I like that bet a lot.
That means one more wager left for both the guys for the best bets for the Super Bowl. Terrell Furman Jr., what do you have?
Will there be a 2-point conversion attempt? Plus 100 on the yes. This is horribly mispriced. Are they watching the Eagles play games? The Eagles will be up 15 points and be like, yeah, let's go for 2. Two, let's go get 2. Because you just saw, oh, is that a penalty? Is that a penalty on a hold on AJ Brown and he still came down with the catch? Oh, yeah, go for 2. Let's just go ahead and push and get the extra point. Doesn't matter. I mean, this is it. We have Andy Reid, who is never afraid to go for 2, especially if things ever get dire for either one of these 2 teams. I think that they're not going to hesitate, and they trust both of their offenses and the game plans that they have at the goal line to be able to go for 2 and convert for 2. So, yes, you can get a little spicy, and you can go for will there be a 2-point conversion attempt and get even more plus money? I mean, yes. And will it be converted? Yes, you can get that and get even more plus money. I just need the attempt. It doesn't even have to be converted and I'm getting even money here? Absolutely. I'm all over this. This is one of the favorite bets because of, again, the Eagles offense has the tush push. That is a huge weapon, and you're going to take the advantage that you have to use it when you have a chance, especially because Jake Elliott also has not been that great this year. And getting back to his kicking, he's missed a lot of extra point attempts. And so if he can take the ball out of his hands, I absolutely would.
All right, Andrew Erickson, send us off on a high note. What's the last best bet for Sunday's Super Bowl?
Before I get to my last bet, though, I do want to mention with Terrell, he's putting in my mind, I can just parlay all these tush push bets together and just bet. Yes. I'm not betting on the Chiefs. I'm not betting on the Eagles. I'm betting on the tush push. The most unstoppable, most unstoppable play in all of NFL that they're trying to ban. Just bet on it. This could be your last time to bet on the tush push. So take full advantage. So my last bet here is players to have a pass attempt. I'm going to go under 2.5. very juicy. It's minus 240. And I originally looked at this as looking at the over. I thought, oh man, like we see all these weird plays with the Chiefs offense. They have McCole Hardman rolling out, throwing passes. But then I look back at actually this year, neither the Chiefs or Eagles have actually had a non-quarterback attempt to pass. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I look back at the Super Bowls that the Chiefs have played in. And again, none of them have ever attempted a pass. Last year, I remember betting the over on this, and it was the 49ers that actually came through with Juwan Jennings attempting a pass.
What a shock. Kyle Shanahan got a gimmick.
So I think that the Chiefs on their side, they're not going to overthink it and be, no, Mahomes is our best player. We're not going to let any of these we're not going to do what the Lions did with Jameson Williams. Be like, all right, let's throw a pass. Let's have some fun. No, this is not about fun. Mahomes, 50-plus drop packs. Don't let anyone else throw the ball except him. I think the same thing with the Eagles. I don't think they're going to do, let's have Barkley throw a pass. It'll be great. It'll be fun. I don't think
if there was a guy, that would be the guy.
But yeah.
But because they're so good down at the goal line with again, the brotherly shove, like you're just not in those scenarios. Why would you get cute when you don't have to?
I agree. And it's minus 240, but a win's a win. So
I think you're begging for a punter. If you're playing that, I think you're begging for the punter to throw a pass.
Maybe we got before we go. Fun tweet here from fan of the show here, Jack Odanovich. I know he's joined us on the live stream sometimes, tweeting at me, and I figured I would share this with you, especially Terrell. The way for Philadelphia to win is if Shawn Michaels gives Mahomes a sweet chin music, he stumbles, gets back up, Jimmy and Jey Uso double super kick, Roman Reigns comes up with a spear on Travis Kelce and an RKO on Worthy. That's the only way. So there you go. I think that's pretty good. Now, look. Yeah. If you told me the Eagles win, I'm not shocked by this. The Eagles are a really good football team. They play great defense. And I'm not shocked. I'm surprised, but I'm not shocked. I still think to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, the Chiefs are still the man. So what do you think? What are your predictions and your favorite bets for Super Bowl this Sunday? Drop them in the comments below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson and Terrell Furman Jr., I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.